LSU is out of here. We have gotten all we were going to get from the LSU Tigers. They were here early and have departed. It was a sick purple plaid double-breasted suit that Garrett Nussmeier was rocking today. Whit Weeks went with the with just a sport coat and slacks, no tie, which I very much appreciate, going with the open collar look. And then Chris Hilton looked very, very dapper. And we got a chance to talk to all of those guys, and we'll hear from them a little bit later on in the show. Brian Kelly was so gracious as they were just about to head out of here. Like, he was done, and he sat down with me for just a few minutes. I didn't want to keep him very long because he was literally leaving, but I'm very grateful that Brian Kelly gave us a little bit of time earlier today. So we'll play that sound now for you. Here's Brian Kelly. Here on Radio Row, SEC Media Days 2025, joined by LSU head coach Brian Kelly, and what I believe is your last obligation of the day. So can you finish strong here? Fourth quarter?
Let me see how the questions are. If they're good questions, I'll finish strong. It's all about you.
I'll do the best I can. There's been a lot of talk this morning about the expectations on your team based on the roster additions. How have you addressed that with them?
We don't talk about expectations. We talk about what our tangible goal is, and you know, what is specific for us is going 1-0 and beating Clemson. So all of our workouts, everything has been single-minded and focused on beating the opponent that we play in game one. And that happens to be a really good one in Clemson.
It does. I'm curious. You talked about the redecorating the weight room with the tiger paws and all that kind of stuff. I mean, is there anything material on the field that you will do differently? You've been at this a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've asked Jake Flint.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, apologies. We have some technical issues trying to get that sound back down to Baton Rouge, but we'll see if we can revisit that maybe in the next hour. Brian Kelly was good there, just talking about some of the expectations on the team, and they're not necessarily talking as much about this. I wanted to hear about the offensive line. It's been the biggest question that I've been asked at Media Days so far by folks that are picking my brain about LSU. That's kind of the nature of what goes on in here, whether it's in a radio setting, whether it's in a sports bar. Both happen quite frequently. And you're just kind of talking about the different aspects of each team, and everybody wants to ask me about the offensive line. I feel like everybody feels like that Garrett Nussmeier is a proven commodity. I feel like everybody feels like the additions in the transfer portal on the defense should shore things up. Brian Kelly said this morning. He was like, what we did on the field on defense the last 2 years has just simply not been a championship level. I mean, he was very direct and upfront about that, which is true. That they were atrocious on defense 2 years ago, and they weren't very good last year. Like, I think the fact that they were so bad 2 years ago kind of camouflages the fact that they were not very good last year. Like, they got a couple fourth down stops against Ole Miss. They got a couple turnovers against South Carolina. They did a good job before Marcel Reed came in against Texas A&M, but they couldn't get to DJ Lagway on one leg in Gainesville. Like, and I think you would look at that and say, well, they made a step forward because they were so atrocious in 2023. But the fact of the matter is that if you're grading this on a championship curve, which LSU is certainly grading this on a championship curve, then you're not even close as far as the defense last year. And Brian Kelly said that this morning. It's like, that's not going to get it. And so I think the feeling is, but for most people, the amount of additions that they brought in are going to help that. The question is, what about the offensive line? And as Brian Kelly told me sitting right here, he's like, I mean, we knew we were going to lose 4 guys, so we went out and added 2 transfers. And one of the things that he really likes about both Braylon Moore, but more so Josh Thompson, is that they have some positional versatility. Like, Moore is going to play center in all likelihood, but also Thompson is brought here to play guard if Weston Davis can hold down the tackle spot. And if he can't hold down the tackle spot, then you bump Thompson out and he plays tackle like he did at Northwestern, and you maybe fill in with Paul Mabenga at guard, or maybe Bo Bordelon at guard. So they have a plan, but I don't how that plan manifests is quite literally going to be a huge component to whether or not LSU is a championship level football team. And that kind of goes back to how I opened the show, right? I opened the show talking about the expectation around here and the buzz around LSU and what the talking points are. And that word, championship, comes up a lot. It came out of Gary Nussmeier's mouth this morning. It came out of Whit Weeks this morning. It just did, and they've talked about it a lot. And that's the first question I asked Brian Kelly. So I think we've got that sound now. Beck's telling me that we do have it. So let's toss this to Brian Kelly and see if we can finish that conversation I had a little bit earlier. Is 2025, joined by LSU head coach Brian Kelly, and what I believe is your last obligation of the day. So can you finish strong here? Fourth quarter?
Let me see how the questions are. If they're good questions, I'll finish strong. It's all about you.
I'll do the best I can. There's been a lot of talk this morning about the expectations on your team based on the roster additions. How have you addressed that with them?
We don't talk about expectations. We talk about what our tangible goal is, and what is specific for us is going 1-0. And beating Clemson. So all of our workouts, everything has been single-minded and focused on beating the opponent that we play in game one. And that happens to be a really good one in Clemson.
It does. I'm curious. You talked about the redecorating the weight room with the tiger paws and all that kind of stuff. I mean, is there anything material on the field that you will do differently? You've been at this a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've asked Jake Flint, and he's done a tremendous job of reminding them in all of our runs what we're doing here. What is this training for? And this training is to be your best when you play Clemson. So running through the line, doing all the extraordinary things that you need to do to develop yourself and be better is about beating Clemson.
A lot of folks are talking to us about LSU, being that we cover LSU, and one of the first questions we get is on offensive line. How do you feel about replacing 4 guys up there with what you've seen so far?
Well, I mean, look, you have to be prepared for replacing prior to replacing. If you're just knee-jerk reacting to we're losing 4 guys, we knew we were losing 4 guys. And so it was a matter of developing the younger players in a manner that allowed them playing time. Paul Mobanga played a lot for us. DJ Chester started 13 games. Colin Eccles played for us last year. Tyree Adams played for us, and Weston Davis played in the bowl game. So we were building to that, but we felt like we needed more, and that's why we got Braylon Moore from Virginia Tech, an experienced 3-year starter at center, and Josh Thompson, who's a guy that can play right end, right tackle, and right guard. So we addressed those needs before you actually lose all those guys. That's why I feel really good about the offensive line that Brad Davis is going to have.
When you looked at y'all statistically passing the ball last year, ton of completions, high percentage, great on third down. Maybe the big play might have been the missing piece.
It was.
Hilton, how big a deal is that to have him healthy?
He's huge. Barron Brown helps. Nick Anderson helps. Aaron Anderson helps. I just think there's a lot of weapons now that we can push the ball vertically. Where we struggled a little bit is when you kind of latched on and played deep coverage, soft coverage. You kept it in front of us. We couldn't have anybody that really, break through and run by people. We got some guys that can run by it now.
No question about it. We'll go on defense here and we'll get you out of here. We had Chris Hilton a little earlier, and he talked about going against TJ Pickett. I want to give him a shout out about how tough it was to deal with him. How has he looked in the spring, and do you expect him out there pretty quickly?
He's an extraordinary player. I mean, I think we're going to start, when we get into camp, it's going to be now about, legitimately looking at who are the starters. We didn't do that really in the spring. The spring was much more about our technical and tactical development. But now we got to get ready for that first game that we've earmarked as being, this goal. So we'll know early on the first week or two. He's playing for us next year. There's no doubt he's ready to play. Does he start for us? I think we'll kind of let that play out in the first couple of weeks.
We appreciate your time. We'll let you get on home.
My pleasure. Good to be with you. Thank you.
That's Brian Kelly, LSU head football coach. Back with more from Radio Row. It's SEC Media Days 2025 here from Atlanta.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.